Hey guys, I'm Angie. Today I'm going to make red bean sweet soup or hongdaosa. Growing up, this was the one thing that I always look forward to. It's a classic Chinese dish. We would always get this as a complimentary dessert at the end of every meal at Chinese restaurants, and I'd always be so disappointed when they would run out and just give you a plate of oranges instead.
Wow, dang.
So now that I know how to make it, I can make it anytime I want, and I'm gonna show you how I do it. To make our red bean sweet soup, we'll need red beans, of course. You want to rinse them and then soak them at room temperature for at least 4 hours. This is what the red beans look like before soaking them, and this is what it looks like after. I soaked mine for about 5 hours, but ideally you want to soak them overnight if you have the time. Here I have half a cup of red beans that have been soaked, 2 tablespoons of tapioca pearls or sago, 2 tablespoons of lotus seeds, which add a nice crunch, half a cup of rock sugar, and I'll be using a little bit of rice flour to thicken it all up. Red bean sweet soup also typically uses dried tangerine peels, but I don't have any on hand right now, and since we're sheltering in place, I'm not gonna go to the store just for one item. If you have it on hand, definitely throw in 2 or 3 pieces, but I've made this without it before too, and it still tastes amazing. Here I have 2 pots. I'm going to use a small pot to cook my tapioca pearls. In my medium-sized pot in the front, I have 4 cups of water. I'm going to add my red beans to this, bring it to a boil, and simmer it on medium-low heat for a total of 1.5 hours. As my red beans simmer, I want to make sure I stir it occasionally. Maybe every 10 minutes is fine. To cook my tapioca pearls, I'm going to put them in 2 cups of boiling water and then bring the water down to a simmer and let that cook for 10 minutes without the lid. Be sure to stir this occasionally. It's been about 10 minutes since my tapioca pearls have been simmering away without the lid on. So this is what it looks like. You can still see a white center, but the edges are becoming translucent. At this point, I'm going to cover the tapioca pearls, turn off the heat, and let it sit for another 5 minutes. I don't want it to cook completely through because I will be adding it to my red bean sweet soup later. After sitting with the lid on for 5 minutes, this is what the tapioca pearls look like. Most of them have a very small white center, and this is exactly what we want. We're going to drain this and rinse it with cold water and let it sit in cold water until we need it for our red bean sweet soup. My red beans have been simmering for an hour, so I'm going to add my lotus seeds in now. It's an optional ingredient, but I really like them because they add texture. I'll also add the rock sugar in at this point. It's been an additional half an hour since my red bean sweet soup has been simmering, and you can see that the beans have softened and started to break apart. So I'm going to use the back of my spatula just to crush some of the red beans. I want to do this before adding my tapioca pearls because I don't want my tapioca pearls to break apart. My spatula was a little soft, so I'm using the back of a ladle. Here you can see that the red beans are crushed and some are still in large bits, and that's what I want. I don't want it to be completely pulverized. Now I'm going to add my cooked tapioca pearls into this mixture and give it a gentle stir. To finish cooking the tapioca pearls, I'm going to bring it back to a simmer until they're completely translucent. So you can see there's just a few that have white centers. In the meantime, I'm going to mix half a tablespoon of rice flour with 1 tablespoon of water to make a slurry. This will help thicken my red bean sweet soup a little bit. I'm going to add just a little bit at a time until it's at the consistency that I like. Let it cook for about a minute or 2 in between each addition. I used all my slurry, so if you need more, just make more. I think we're good, so now it's time to eat. And that is how Chinese people make beans into dessert. It takes a little bit of effort and time, but it's totally worth it, and it's one of my favorites. So, it's really hot, so be careful. It's not too sweet. The beans are tender, and the tapioca pearls have a really nice mouthfeel to it. You're so gross. What?
This is better than oranges.
If you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. I'm gonna keep eating. See you in the next video. You still here?